Welcome back. With tax refunds hitting bank accounts nationwide, it's time to talk financial strategy in this morning's edition of Capital Corner.
Yeah, listen to this. According to the Internal Revenue Service, the average refund for taxpayers this year is almost $1,800. So here this morning to help us put that extra cash to work for you is business and market analyst Seth Denson. Seth, first of all, happy Friday. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Hey, happy Friday, y'all. Great to be here.
Awesome. Well, let's get right to this. You know, it's so nice to get those refunds. What are some of the most common mistakes that people make when they get that refund in the mail and they're like, okay, now I can go spend this tax refund?
Yeah, I know. I love getting to talk about money coming back into our pockets,
Yes.
right? But here's the biggest mistake people make. They don't have a plan for it. There's no strategy around it. And so, you know, if you ask somebody 6 weeks after they get the refund or even 6 months and say, well, what'd you do with it? And they go, I don't know. That's a problem. You got to use it effectively. And so my biggest tip to anybody is have a plan for where you're going to get the most out of it. Some of that can be fun, right? Take yourself out for some ice cream or a nice dinner, but have a plan for where you want it to go to set up yourself for a good financial future.
Okay, Seth, so clearly we need a strategy. What should we prioritize to get the most out of our refund?
Yeah, right now, where things are, Dominique, especially around high interest rates, is what we call revolving debt. That would be credit card debt in particular. So credit card debt is an essential place to prioritize this dollar because if you think about it, the average American right now is carrying a lot of credit card debt. The average interest rate on that credit card debt right now is 27%. So if you think about it, if the average refund is $1,800 and I'm carrying a 27%, that means nearly 30% of that debt, I'm going to get tacked on, so north of $500 if I've got an $1,800 credit card debt. So utilize that there and get the most out of it and clear that out.
And speaking of credit card debt, what role, Seth, does our current financial situation actually play in determining how to use that tax refund wisely?
Yeah, that's a great question, Fanchon, and a critical one because everybody's situation is different. And by the way, trust yourself. Trust your gut. You know what you should be doing with that money, and you know what probably is the best plan for that money. And so that is a critical component. Don't let anybody else tell you what the best thing is. You know. And by the way, be honest with yourself because you do know, not necessarily what you might want, but what you know you need to do with that money. You know your financial situation and use that money wisely in it.
Seth, people always like those pie charts, you know, that kind of break up. Okay, 50% is going to go to fun, 30% is going to be tucked in savings, 20%. I mean, do you have sort of a percentage breakdown of where things should go to sort of help us if we don't know how to do it?
Yeah, Dominic, great question. We did a great segment on budgeting last week. Go back, watch it. It's very important to understand your wants, your needs, and all of that other fun stuff. So rather than a percentage point for you, I would say utilize the money in a way that you know you're going to get the most out of it based on what you need to do. 46% of Americans right now don't even know how much debt they have. So let's start with understanding where we really are. I love those graphs as much as anybody. I drive my wife nuts with them. But here's the situation. What I wouldn't recommend is if you have revolving debt, paying using buying down your car loan or home loan. Those things are fairly stabilized. What you want to use is revolving debt and create an emergency fund. 50% of Americans couldn't afford a $1,000 emergency today. Set up that emergency fund so you can use it if you need it in the future.
I love that you bring up the emergency fund because that really is planning ahead. Are there some other things, Seth, that we should be thinking about in terms of planning ahead into next year?
Yes, it's never too early to start thinking about next year. And here's what people really need to know, that a tax refund, while exciting, means that you let the government borrow your money interest-free for a year. So, you know, not all that exciting when you can get right now interest rates in the 4, 5, 6% on your own money. So the best thing you could do to plan for next year is take a look, meet with your tax consultant and see, am I withholding too much? But if you are and you want to make that adjustment, make sure you take that withholding extra and put it in savings. Make that money work for you.
That is some good wisdom there. Seth, thank you so much for joining us, Seth Denson, on Morning on Marriage Street. Once again, good to see you. Have a great weekend.
Thank you,
Y'all
Seth.
too. See you soon.
All right.